Beautiful souls, what does the future hold as far as the upcoming elections here in the United States of America? More importantly, post-elections, as we continue to see the dollar fall, and what the economy may hold for us as we move into 2025. Today, I'm going to put together the pieces of some of my past predictions, how they all seem to align perfectly into a puzzle, along with adding new pieces and new predictions to that puzzle, so that we can determine what is on our doorsteps right now as far as the upcoming elections and post-elections. This is my United States elections and post-election predictions. Beautiful tribe, beautiful souls. I hope you're having a really great day today. I welcome you back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, and I welcome you with a big air hugs. If you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, you want to vibe with our awesome tribe, please do smash that subscribe, the bell, and all so that you get notifications and know that you can catch me every Tuesday for Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time as we review past week's events and world events and how they may or may not relate to predictions and prophecy with new predictions each and every Tuesday. So tune in so that you don't ever miss any of the predictions that I put out here on this channel and other platforms. Down below, you'll find all the links to my social media, including Spotify, Rumble, the Awaken Your Spirit community of supporters who help make this free content possible for everybody else, or the members down below of this community, wherever you happen to be watching this. Thank you for all the love and support. I couldn't do it without you. Other than that, shall we move on with one other thing. Sign up for the newsletter down below. It's free. You'll know what's going on each and every month. You'll never miss any content, and you got to sign up down below. If you sign up on my website, you might not quite get it. It's best to open up that newsletter, go to the top corner, and register there. Make sure that you confirm the email that you will receive as soon as you sign up. If you don't confirm, you'll never get the email. So check it out, and let us move on with my predictions for the United States elections and post-election events. I'm going to share with you my predictions for the upcoming elections, which stems from my original predictions going back to the year 2016 and 2017. But first, I want to point you out to some interesting things that I find to be beyond interesting. And maybe coincidence, but I don't quite believe in coincidences. So let me point you towards some past content that I did. I did a video on this back in 2017. Revolved around two books, actually three books. It's a 3-book series, but mainly the 2 books that are quite creepy. Not to mention that there, again, are no coincidences, especially now that we look back at the second of these series of 3 books. And that first book that we want to look at is called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Adventure. And in this book, written by Ingersoll Lockwood around 1893, the series of books seemingly have these impossible similarities to the Trump family today. I mean, literally, friends, very, seemingly impossible similarities to the Trump family. So look closely at the cover. Some say that this is very much resembles Baron Trump, the young Baron Trump when he was a kid. But how is that even possible, friends? How is that even possible? Some conspiracies rose back in 2017, having folks believing that Trump was a time traveler. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother video that we're not going to get into today. But here is a side-by-side picture with the book and Baron when he was a kid that make many people believe that it's the same person. I don't know about that personally. I wouldn't say that for sure. This gets me to this gets way stranger, friends. In the book, the young Baron Trump goes to Russia with his father, which he refers to as Big Don in the book. Big Don just so happens to be a real estate mogul who is residing on 5th Avenue in New York City at his home that is called Castle Trump. That's right, 5th Avenue. 5th Avenue is exactly where Trump Tower currently stands today. Coincidence, perhaps? It gets even creepier. You can look up these books and read them for yourself online for free at the Library of Congress website. But to sum it up, in that first book, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Adventure, Baron finds this cave. First, they go to Russia because Daddy's on business. Big Don's on business. and they go to Russia and the Russian Arctic of all places. And Baron and his little dog Bulger discover this inner Earth realm. This inner Earth realm where they are able to travel through time and encounter many lost races, including transparent beings. Fairies, perhaps? Interesting enough, according to the book, when the transparent beings happen to lie, they become more transparent. Kind of like Pinocchio and his nose grows. Interesting, to say the least. Finding all these underground cities and what he also called ant people. People that lived in a city underneath the earth that looked like big ants. But like people. Ant people. So don't you all find this to be beyond strange? I do. It gets even better, though. It gets even better with the author's third book, Ingersoll Lockwood's third book in a series called 1900, The Last President. That book was put out in the year 1896. In this third book, Big Don, a wealthy real estate mogul who lived at Castle Trump on Fifth Avenue in New York City, is talked into running for president by his mentor or his Secretary of State, a guy that just so happens to be named Pence. Interesting, again, to say the least. Pence. That's right. You heard it correctly. And that is in the book. Again, you can read this book. This book is real. It does exist. And these things are exactly as it's stated in the book. And these are things that make you go, right? So Don, not being a career politician at all, Big Don, instead he's a wealthy outsider, the underdog, not expected to win in this election that they're talking him into running. Because he's running on a populist platform, which means when he does win, it's contentious. Meaning he's going to anger an awful lot of people, which he does, who happen to all protest in front of his Fifth Avenue hotel residence after surprising results of the election are revealed. Does that not sound familiar, friends? Does that not sound very, very familiar? Again, very big coincidence if it were one. According to the book, the Fifth Avenue Hotel was actually a real landmark back when the author wrote this book. You know what stands in its place today? Trump Tower. So in the book, it's referred to as Castle Trump, the Fifth Avenue Hotel, which did exist when the book was written. Just so happened that other creepy coincidences happened along with it. But now that Trump Tower stands in that same exact spot, that's like, come on, that's beyond interesting. Beyond coincidence. Not saying that, whatever, but at the same time in the book, as he's really trying to fix the economy that's collapsing, there happens to be all this social unrest happening in the United States, along with rioting. And then it mentions in the book that he makes silver the new king of the monetary system. So there's a whole lot more to these books, friends, a whole lot more to this series, including the relationship of the author, Ingersoll Lockwood, and Nikola Tesla, who both happened to live in New York City at the time that he wrote these books, and Tesla at the time was rumored to be working on time travel. Is it true, or is it conspiracy? When Tesla died, all of his trunks and all of his work and inventions were confiscated by the United States government. Later, the government had John Trump, that's right, John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle, who was a scientist, go through all of Tesla's trunks, which of course brought about the whole conspiracy that the Trumps are time travelers. Do you think the Trumps are time travelers? Too many odd coincidences behind this, of course. And I do highly recommend that you go down that rabbit hole on your own before screaming conspiracy or anything. Just, go down that rabbit hole. It's quite interesting. It's a very entertaining rabbit hole, to say the least. And remember, there's no coincidences. And at the same time, I would also say, if the Trumps were time travelers, perhaps he might have went back and fixed a few things. Like grabber in the you-know-what. Maybe he would have went back and got rid of that. Just saying, friends. Just saying. You got to look at it from all angles. So moving forward into my past predictions and perhaps another potential link to the book, The Last President. Spirit has been telling us for a very long time to invest in silver. All minerals and precious metals, of course, but mainly silver for many years now. For maybe even in the past decade, Spirit's been saying that. So in the book, The Last President, It talks about silver being the new king, the new form of currency replacing the collapsing dollar, put into place by Big Don when he's elected president. It changes the economy. So to me, that's beyond interesting, and it could make a lot of sense as being a very plausible future currency, or at least being worth a lot more than what silver's current price is now. Also in my past predictions, Spirit told us that there'd be some type of new currency going into place by 2027, 26. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember what the prediction was exactly, other than a new currency that was going to be backed by some type of mineral, according to Spirit a couple years back. Something quite surprising, Spirit told us in my channel predictions, that changes it all. Could it be silver? I mean, could there all of a sudden be a massive silver deposit discovered in the United States, backing up the whole country with the biggest supplier of silver? Or could it actually be something else? Specifically, lithium? Lithium-backed. Think about this, friends. For years, it was oil-backed. It started with gold-backed, and then it got changed by Nixon into oil-backed. Now it's not backed by anything. Lithium's the new energy of the future, according to these green psychopaths that are just doing nothing but cashing in on it. They just found these big lithium deposits in North Carolina where Hurricane Helene conveniently cleared away all the land for future mining. And also, right after BlackRock and Vanguard signed a $90 million deal to dig up the lithium deposit there in the North Carolina mountains. Not only that, apparently, we're seeing the greatest wildfires ever, and the media is not talking about it up there in Wyoming. And guess what they found in Wyoming? More lithium. But also they found some of the most clearest minerals possible for making computer chips right there in Wyoming, where most of the mountains are completely burned out now. So could it be lithium being the future backed currency? Would Trump go in and make lithium the backed currency and save the dollar? Being that they're destroying these areas where all these lithium deposits are. Makes more sense. And again, in Wyoming, more than 80,000 acres have been burned already. Still burning out of control. And it seems that nobody's talking about it. Overall, I believe that Trump's going to be the last president? I do not. However, I do believe he very well could be the last president before the collapse and breaking apart of the Union in the United States. Remember, Spirit told us a long time ago that the future of the United States would be divided into 5 separate unions that would, in the long run, be for the highest good of all. I had visions of a star falling off the flag. That was about a year and a half ago. We thought maybe that could be Texas or someone leaving the Union. That's still ongoing. That's still on the playbook of predictions, friends. It's still going to happen according to Spirit. So it makes a lot more sense. And I still strongly feel that a huge event is going to hit the United States by late October. That is going to totally hinder the elections and delay them, as I predicted in my 2024 world predictions back in December of last year. So whether it be, say, a major earthquake created by Mountain Dew. If you don't know what that is, look it up, DEW. Hitting the West Coast, which has been in my predictions, the West Coast earthquakes in the future. Perhaps even, say, hitting the East Coast and really throwing people off. Hitting the East Coast in early January, right before inauguration. Or hitting it right before the elections. East Coast, West Coast, a created event. Perhaps accompanied by some type of fear attack on American soil, maybe unleashing some of these sleeper cells. And the last possibility would be some type of other likely created weather event that brings about the humanitarian aid that was in my world predictions for the year too. And actually not, we just talked about it recently in my October forecast. October is the 9 vibration. That is all about humanitarian efforts. The 9 is also about endings, death of cycles, and sometimes death as well. That's October, and that's all of next year. October is a reflection of next year. And how did our October start off? Massive weather systems. That's going to be all of next year now. It's showing us And we still got to keep an eye on the month of October because there's a lot still to come. So could they create another massive hurricane bigger than Helene or another massive storm to wipe out part of the country? Maybe even bring about some type of an event like, I don't know. I just drew a blank on that one. But some kind of major event that gets people to be locked in their houses in the area where this hits. Regardless of what it is, it feels very shady to me, friends. It feels like a shady, sinister plan is being orchestrated right now by the global elite. Something that's probably already been orchestrated for a long time now. That they plan to unleash by the end of October, early November. It feels very planned to me. So therefore, we must all hold in the light good things now and on Election Day. And speaking of Election Day, in the past, I stated that I felt some type of an attack occurring, including fights like fist fights or other fights happening at the polls during the election process. Now, all of a sudden, the FBI has just put out these alerts saying that there's potential fear attacks that are going to happen on Election Day. FBI always puts out things right before they happen as if they know. Probably because they're the ones wearing the masks. They're probably the ones causing it in some form or another. I don't trust those 3-digit agencies, friends. Don't trust them at all. Another thing that Spirit's showing me visions of right now is I see vehicles, which aligns with a past prediction, but not as precise as what Spirit's showing me now. Vehicles being used as weapons going towards people, crowds of people or people waiting in line. So no matter where you're at, if you're waiting in line or at the polls or you're in any small group of people, be very mindful and stay away from the roads and the parking lots. That's my advice to you. But I feel like they're going to use vehicles. I don't know who they are, but, whoever evil that wants to be initiated on that day of elections. But I still feel like, again, a potential delay in them. But they're going to happen eventually. So whenever they do happen, there's a threat of attacks, fistfights, and vehicles plunging into people. So let's hold in the light that doesn't end up being the case at all, hopefully. Not only that, obviously, again, the FBI knows way more than we do, and likely that's because they're the masked men that are behind such attacks. In my 2024 predictions, going back to January again, I felt that we may not get the results of the elections until January, not long before Inauguration Day. Maybe even delaying Inauguration Day by a week or so. So let me go back to my original prediction from 2016 and 2017 that I stated that I saw Trump serving 2 terms. And I didn't say back to back. I just said, Spirit said 2 terms. And of course, most people, including myself, thought that they would be back-to-back terms. They weren't. And then folks didn't believe that Trump was going to run again. So people thought, oh, I was wrong. And hey, I'm wrong sometimes. Can't always be right. So some folks also claimed that my prediction did come true, but the results were cheated and his spot was stolen from underneath of him, which could be possible except for one thing, friends. I also stated in my 2016 and 2017 that Donald Trump would pass away in the 3rd year of his 2nd term. Right before or right after his birthday, likely right before his birthday, the end of May, sometime in May, maybe even early June. So if these predictions were right, the original, and say his seat was stolen from the White House, then he would have had to have passed away last year, which he did not. So whether it was cheated or not, that's not what Spirit showed me in 2016. Spirit showed me 2 terms, passing in the 3rd year of his 2nd term. So again, if it were all true, he would have passed away by now and wouldn't be running right now. This is why I say that this will be the 2nd term, because he's not going to come back again after this. So, and it makes the prediction so much more plausible now that he could have a 2nd term, or will have a 2nd term, not could, will. And therefore, I've been stating for years now, and I still strongly feel, and I'm putting it out there for the 100th time, that Trump's going to win the 2024 elections. And as far as him passing away in the 3rd year of his 2nd term, That would actually bring us into the year 2027. 2027, when you add it in numerology, breaks down to an 11 first. And when you add the numbers and you ever get 11, 22, 33, you always got to look at those master numbers. 11 is all about angelic energies, angelic frequencies. It breaks down to a 2 vibration. But overall, when it comes to Donald Trump and his personal numerology, in the year 2027, that would put him in his 4 personal year. The 4 very often brings up health issues. And at times, people pass away in their 4 personal years. We witnessed that with Queen Elizabeth. That's what actually helped me. I knew she was going to pass when she did that year before her birthday. She was going into her 4 year. I had no doubt. The 4, sometimes the 9 people pass. So this makes everything much more plausible with that prediction going back to 2016. And of course, if he wins, and when he wins, not if he wins, when he wins, many are going to scream loudly when the election, they're going to scream it was all fixed like they did before. They're going to scream like they did in 2017. They may even be less than smart to bring back the whole Russian collusion thing again, even though it was proved to be wrong. But I got that feeling that, Russia's going to be thrown into this mix when he wins and being accused. Let me tell you something. Russia does not want him to be the president. China does not want him to be the president. So if there's interference from China or Russia, it's interference to keep things the way they are, not to change them. Common sense. Spirit showed me actually they will attempt to toss him in jail. And Spirit shows me an awful lot of money changing hands to take him down, including judges being paid off. So I had visions of bags of money being exchanged. That's probably to maybe judges. But I also seen wire transfers for several million. And that's likely, of course, to attempt to take him out for the 3rd time. Now, remember my vision that I saw Kamala in the corner, sad as if she was duped. Which originally I did believe and thought that would be because during the DNC, they were going to dupe her and change her and take her out and put someone else in. Which I was obviously wrong and shocked that I was wrong about that. Really shocked. But perhaps, maybe I wasn't wrong. Maybe the disappointment could be her being duped out of the election and feeling sad that she didn't win. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I saw a vision in my channel predictions of a pancake flipping. And Spirit showed me some type of a flip taking place after the elections. And I got to be very clear on this, friends. Let me be very clear that I did not see what color the pancake was what color. I did not see colored sides. Because I saw in the comments on one of my Tuesday shows, somebody or several people claiming that I saw it flip from red to blue, the pancake. I did not see that. I saw a pancake flip, period. I didn't see colors on that pancake at all that I recall seeing. So therefore, whatever the case may be, it's going to flip one way or another. And what could end up happening is that if it were going to flip to anything, they would flip it from red to blue. That would be what the global elite would try to do, of course. If we don't hold in the light, then everything stays the way it should be for the best of our country and of the world. And the evil ones will get in, whatever that may be, or whoever that may be. We just got to hold in the light, the goodness for all. They're also, they're going to try to, lock him up. They're going to try to take him out again. And they already tried to take him out twice already. But next time, they're going to use other methods to try to do so. Especially when they announce that he wins, and then they're going to do everything possible to stop him from Inauguration Day in January. But will they? That's the question. Will they? I certainly hope not. And this is simply not for the sake of him, but for the sakes of our country. Because it's already been a friggin' circus show, friends. It's already been. And taking him out would just make it 100 times worse for everybody, no matter what side you're on. Be bad. It will make our country look like idiots, too, and make us, as it's been making us look. So I've also had predictions in the past year of major protests and rioting. Spirit, I saw that in my channel predictions as well, here in the United States and other countries as well. So along with visions of very large fires in cities, likely caused by paid protesters and the psychopaths that may go as far as using Mountain Dews, like they did in Lahaina, to ignite a city on fire in a great way. I saw visions like Great Fire, kind of like the Great Chicago Fire or the Great Los Angeles Fire or the Great Las Vegas Fire. It just felt like huge. And it felt like it wasn't just somebody protesting throwing Molotov cocktails. It felt like it was induced, kind of like Lahaina was induced, kind of like exactly what's happening in Wyoming right now as well. So let's hold in the light that none of this ends up being the case. Let there be peace. Let there be love. Let there be prosperity and abundance. Let's focus on that. And at some point between now and January, I feel strongly that sleeper cells will be given the green light to attack within the United States. This could be a big part of what delays the election, although I do feel it's coming later than sooner, like after the elections, perhaps in the month of December, because I strongly feel that December, and I said this in my world predictions for 2024, that December and the year was going to go out with a huge bang. That huge bang could end up being connected to Israel and some small tactical nuke being used or some type of surprise weapon being used in the Middle East. This makes me think of something. Earlier this year or last year, Spirit said, last year actually it was, we were going to see new weapons that we're not aware of being used. Right after that, we saw the Mountain Dew. People didn't believe dews existed. Directed energy weapons. People didn't know about them. So I think that's part of it right there. No doubt. Could they use a direct energy weapon to cause something in the Middle East? Spirit says they sure can. So we have to hold all that in the light. And it could be, again, these sleeper cells in the United States being activated in December, right before the holidays, or right between Hanukkah and Christmas. Let's hope that's not the case. I also see major things happening around the Supreme Court, and I see 2 Supreme Court justices will fall, Spirit told me. Just told me. 2 Supreme Justices will fall. Not necessarily right away, but within the next few years. And it's likely going to get to the point with the elections that the Supreme Courts are going to have to get involved in the election results and also in a handful of issues that show up in 2025, again, including the election issues. I want to bring to the point UFO disclosure and the whole UFO thing. Remember, Trump pushed for that very, very hard. He pushed the whole Space Force mission. And according to Spirit, Trump is very, very aware of the Galactic Federation. If you're not aware of the Galactic Federation, I'll just give you a quick rundown. The Galactic Federation is an alleged group of different classes of aliens who are also known as the Watchers, perhaps connected to the Watchers in prophecy, likely so, that watch over our planet. And he's very aware of that. This brings me to the thought of my visions of seeing a big UFO floating over a city in the United States and in other countries. And it also brings me to the thought of the agenda and the playbook to get the world to come together by posing a fake invasion from outer space. And I know it sounds crazy and sounds conspiratorial. It definitely does. I agree with you on that. But it isn't their playbook. And they do have technology to make these things happen. And they've been testing it. And they've tested it and tested it. They can make things appear in the sky that look real that are not. Not to mention the thousands of what look like UFOs that are actually military vehicles that they've been building and not letting us know about. What if they launched them all at the same time over all our cities? It would look like a space invasion. That would be, and then, use direct energy weapons because we know they have them on their UFOs to, hit certain targets to make people go into fear, to force people to come together and take the mark of the beast. Be aware. I know it sounds conspiratorial. I'm not saying it don't. 100% does. I agree. I would think it was crazy if Spirit didn't agree that it's on their playbook. So expect there to be major UFO disclosure, and I would expect that happening next year. Or right away, by, say, March at the latest. So Trump is going to back Israel 200%. We got to keep that in mind, too. And regardless of whoever won the election, the global elite, the big bankers, and all those that profit greatly from world conflicts, they're pushing for the great conflict. They want it because they want to fulfill so many different missions, making money, taking more control, depopulating, causing immigrant crisis. It's all part of the plan of these psychopaths that run this world. And the problem is that not with necessarily, say, the leader, Trump or Harris, it's who surrounds them. It's those that are in their ears. Because remember, they're only just puppets regardless still. They're still puppets. It's just which one would be the greatest puppet. Because, the ones on TV that say, oh, that's a threat to our democracy, they're the ones that are actually a threat. Not the ones they accuse. It's the mirror effect, friends. They flip it around. Mirror effect. But regardless, again, no matter who wins, they want global conflict. And it's spoken about in Revelation, and it all stems in the Middle East. It's already happening, says the spirits. Spirit shows me a flag that flies ever so falsely, if you know what I mean. A flag that flies ever so falsely. A flag that is specifically meant to bring about some type of an excuse to ignite conflict in a country or on a country, a person or persons who are actually not actually responsible for the flag event. This feels to me like an inside fear attack, and it very well could be related to my past predictions where I saw dirty explosives being ignited somewhere in Israel, likely right next to or within Tel Aviv. And that could be again towards the end of the year in December. I also have a vision of a lot of shipping containers offshore, just sitting there. We saw this during the 2020 bug. We just saw it briefly earlier this month with the United States and the striking workers. We saw this, but this feels much greater to me, friends. This feels much greater to me, and it's likely has something to do with the new administration, perhaps larger strikes and walkouts, and also conflict that's going to prevent goods from getting to the ports. So that's a lot in the Middle East, including attacks on a port in Israel. And yeah, lots of port stuff. China is going to be a huge issue. They already are. And I see conflict over goods and imports. Perhaps, again, say Trump comes in and there's new tariffs put in, and it maybe get to a point where China threatens to cut off all goods from certain countries and ports. Thing is, China can threaten that all they want, but then they'll go broke. Just saying. I see China working very hard alongside of North Korea with a team of hackers that have been hacking into the infrastructures, specifically and mainly United States. Taking down all the ports and other important aspects is what their plan is. And that would have an instant effect on the economy if they hacked in and stopped a couple ports from working. So holding the light. That could be the other thing that happens, friends, before the elections. That could be the most plausible, actually. A major cyber attack. This reminds me, Spirit showed me a while back a switch, basically someone turning off the switch. They could just walk over and turn off the switch. It could be that they go and turn off the switch and make it look like a cyber attack. Let's hope that's not the case. Make sure you got some backup power and backup ways of cooking. This brings me to a point where I also saw major cyber attacks, and this is something that would be launched, again, late October, early November, and that could cause major delays in the elections, of course. So it could be that as well. And then all the events I talked about, a combination of them would be all happening within the next year, one way or another. And in past predictions, remember I saw port explosions, and I saw another port disaster after a hit from some type of an earth event. So I had a vision of something hitting, and I believe one of these is a tsunami, actually, that's going to take out ports, mainly over near Asia. So that comes to me. I also see a cranes at ports falling. And I don't know if that's from the earthquake, but I just see the cranes toppling over. And I don't feel like that's necessarily United States, but one of them could be. It could be a port out there in Texas or some port along the west coast of the United States. But I feel like weather events, and they're targeted. This all feels shady to me, friends. And I feel like that there's going to be a lot of port issues. All the more reason, of course, to tell you, friends, to stock up and always be prepared for any potential situation. This includes having an escape plan for weather and other events. I mean, look at what happened to people again in Florida and in North Carolina. Of course, even if they had an escape plan, with the way they hit those poor folks in North Carolina with that system, they probably wouldn't have been able to escape anyway. But at the same time, they wouldn't have expected that to hit them, so they didn't have no plan to escape. No matter where you are, friends, have an escape plan. Have food, have water, and have a means of electricity to cook your food, whether it's a little propane grill, what have you. And I'm going to talk more about ports and what I see for ports in the coming Tuesday show. But overall, friends, I tell you, as I said since 2016 and 17, I still feel strongly that Donald Trump's going to serve 2 terms in office and that he will win the 2024 elections, and they'll do everything to stop him. But I don't believe they will succeed, and that Trump will pass away in the 3rd year of his second term, which would be in the year 2027. So let's hold in the light again that the best happens for whatever miracles happen, and what goes into place is what's for the best for all of us, not just Americans, but for the world. And I'm going to leave you with that and let you know and remind you to join me on Tuesday for more predictions. We'll talk more about ports and other events. And if you're new to the tribe and you just smash that subscribe, welcome to the tribe, baby. We're glad to have you. And thank you for the love and support, the chat caches that all make this free content possible for everybody else. Until the next time, friends, celebrate life, celebrate you, be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. Most importantly, remember, I got tangled. Be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine, baby. Let it shine brightly. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste, and much love, friends. Much love.